on? I'm expecting some good conversation, some good channeling, lots of spillover tonight. Looking forward to it.
GM, sir, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. How about you, man?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. I'm ready to channel. I only have a few gotchis to channel, so I'm going to be hitting up the rental market, but I'm ready for that spillover.
Yeah. Zika makes a good point. Gas is high. Lots of stuff going on with what's it called? Planet 9 or something. Lots of these like new projects coming on Polygon, which is good for Polygon. Makes it a little bit tough to have our game, but we ain't worried anymore, guys. We got the solution. Just a matter of time.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. The gotchi chain, just like we were talking about our whole ETH Denver endeavor and how that's going to be a big pitch. We think it's going to be a big selling point to devs, potential devs that we're trying to onboard, telling them, hey, look, we're going to have our own supernet here. So this is like literally the front line of innovation on Polygon. So you should come over here and maybe check us out.
Cool, yeah. I think it'll be, it's definitely a strong pitch. I mean, yeah, it's if you look at a lot of the biggest cryptos out there, most of them have their own chain. We don't want all the mega hassles that we saw with like Axie, where they actually made their own chain. So the SuperNet really is like a perfect option. So excited for it.
Yeah, I was
And the
reading a
fact
little
that,
more about.
Ghost would be the gas token is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, especially if we don't have the bonding curve, it creates this, a clear deflation because we're going to be burning it. So that's really cool.
Actually, yeah, that's a good question. I don't know if it gets burned like EIP 1559 or if it just goes to the validators. It's probably a setting we could choose actually. They're very customizable. I'm not sure because it is a fixed supply token. I'm not sure if we'd want to constantly be burning it. Unlike Ethereum or Matic, they have high inflation rates, so it kind of makes sense. But with Ghost, it would be once the bonding curve is turned off, if it is turned off, it would become like a fully fixed supply token. So not sure burning would be the ideal way to go, but could be interesting. But I'll ask them that next time we have a chat with the SuperNet team.
Yeah, I feel like that's just my inner pyromaniac. It's like, yeah, let's burn some tokens. Because we are going deflationary. If you think about the forge, right? We're going to be there's going to be alloy that's like kind of deflated. It's going to be some destroyed, some gone to the DAO. So I don't know. It's like it's the new thing for 2023. Just like destroy supply. I love it.
Yeah, it's worked pretty well for fake gotchis, right?
Yeah, we were looking at it yesterday. Over 300 cards have been burned at this point. So
Wow.
that's amazing. Like so quickly, like 6 months, over 10% of supply. Just amazing. Hey, GM, Hefe, I don't know if you're having sound issues. I see you keep lagging
No,
out.
I just got on. GM, everybody.
Oh, nice.
Hello. Damn.
Talking about capping the ghost token. How many ghost tokens are there in circulation right now? If we were to cap it off, is it like 42 million or something like that? Something, maybe more. No.
42,069,000. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
something
think.
like that.
Let's see. If you go to the curve, that's got the latest supply loaded up here. Let's see where we're at. Currently, it's 46.4 million ghost.
Oh dang. It's 46. I think we need to burn about 4 million ghosts and then we're good.
Yeah.
We'll just keep it there. GM. Pretty good. Just Yeah, me too. I'm a little exhausted.
I will
Stayed up a
third
little
that.
late last night.
I've like not been going out. I've been very good, but like I want to not become a teetotaler because I think that's like swinging too far like away from moderation. So I went out to the bar to have like a beer and play a game of pool, and it's like I regret it. I didn't even drink that much, but I was like, why did I go out? This was such a waste of time and money.
Oh man. You gotta mint some of these large NFT displays right now.
Speaking
How
of
much
mints,
what are the
I just
costs?
saw this on my feed. It's just I had to laugh. Just the Polygon BD team is crushing it. They got Doritos minting on Polygon.
Yeah, we were talking
Really
about that
good.
last night. It was crazy. See, Polygon has a whole plaza in Decentraland.
Oh, do they? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's kind of like a party. They're throwing a party, and they're going to be minting some wearables, Doritos themed wearables in Decentraland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy, like if you're thinking about it, because like I mean, it is a chip brand, but this is one of the largest chip brands in America. Like they legit could have a Super Bowl commercial. They do that kind of thing every year.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
there is a possibility that like this stuff starts creeping into mainstream in a much more organic way, like compared to last year where it felt forced. Like everybody's in the bowl, everybody's trying to force you into crypto.
Yeah.
Where having a brand like this kind of come out and having some kind of fun engagement it would be great for us.
Yeah, it was interesting looking at their mints, like how they plan on minting all this stuff. So it seems like they made it they made it in such a way that I don't think someone with who's never had a MetaMask wallet, they would still be able to actually be a part of this if they wanted. We'll probably see more big brands coming onto Polygon this year. Like we saw this last year, there was a whole bunch of like big brands, right? There's Starbucks. There was they're not all coming to me now. Reddit, um,
Disney.
Disney. Yeah, that was another one.
Yeah, it's the BD chain. It's like they're just crushing it, doing really good work with that. It's gonna get busy, so makes perfect sense to get the SuperNets going. But we can always hang out with the Fritos when we want.
So does the SuperNet allow for cross-chain interoperability too? Because I thought I read something about that. That helps. That it'll make it easier to have interactions cross-chain.
Yeah, the way I've understood it when I kind of heard from their team on a couple calls ago was that there will be something powered by ZK technology, like rollups, where the different SuperNets will be able to like talk with each other somehow. I think that's probably still pretty far off, but that's something that's their ultimate goal is to be able to have all the SuperNets can kind of talk with each other and the main POS chain. As far as timeline, last time we chatted with them, they said there was some auditing stuff happening, and so that you guys know how audits are. It could be 2 weeks, could be a month, but they were pretty confident it was getting close to having the new version that we would be starting to build on. So we can't give an exact time frame. There's a lot of dependency on Polygon, but what we'd love is summer, basically going into summer to have something. See if that's doable or not.
Yeah, will there be some kind of a test net chain first before we get over to the go over to the official?
Yeah. Yep, there definitely will be. Yeah, actually, they said we don't actually the chain itself could actually be the testnet chain, from what I understand. Like it could be testnet and then go into the mainnet. But yeah, we'll probably make like a fake supernet first.
Nice.
A super test net. Super test net.
Super testnet. No, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to Gotchi Chain. I think it'll be a pretty big deal. Even for builders too. Proposes an interesting. Because who else is gonna have a SuperNet? Like, do we know other partners that are gonna be doing this when it launches?
Yeah, didn't you guys have a nice call about that last, like, a Twitter Spaces, right?
Yeah.
Was it last week?
Yep.
Yeah, Polydoge joined us with Futuristic and Hefe. That was pretty cool. And they've been using Polygon Edge, so it's kind of like a precursor to SuperNets, which is kind of like an out of the box solution for a side chain, an app chain. But yeah, I think there's going to be a number of them, and all I can say is on our side we're super early. Like, we were kind of really aggressively pushing in the door, being like, hey, when this edge stuff evolves into SuperNets, like, we want to have those conversations really early and be a part of it. So, we'll have one of the, however many there are, I don't know, but we'll be there right at the forefront.
Oh man, we're pioneers in every sense. Migrating to
Love,
the new.
love our bridges. Yep.
Well, it makes sense. We were like the first NFT to really go big in a big way on Polygon, and why not? We with our metaverse and our Gotchiverse and everything else we've built, like, we have to deal with the gas spikes all the time. So we definitely have been kind of like looking for a solution like this for a long time, right? As a community, I think it's as soon as you start hearing about something like this, Gotcha Gang's ears are going to perk up.
I remember one of the concerns we had when we started seeing all these other large Polygon partners coming onto the protocol was like, what's going to happen to our game with the gas fees? All of us do at least half a dozen transactions every day, so that gets real expensive if you're looking at really high matic fees.
I'm doing over 300 transactions manually a day. No bots. I haven't even been using scripts lately. I literally stacked on an extra 3,400 transactions in a little bit over like 11 or 12 days. So I'm in beast mode right now.
You're a power user, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, me and Sandeep, we're gonna have to become friends because I'm just all up in it.
Yeah, he's following you now, right? Did I see that on Leinster or some? Who was it?
I don't think he's following me. I think he's following my Callium. He liked my post about hitting 69,000 transactions, which I'll say probably like 65,000 of those were from Gotchiverse this in the last year, because I wasn't being that crazy on Polygon prior. So I guess he knows of me because he will like some of my stuff, but I do tag him in it. So hopefully that one day he decides to follow.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah, it came out in the spaces. You were flexing hard on some of the validator guys. You're like, talking to the guy from Chain. Oh my God, not Chain Link. God.
Chain Stack HQ.
Thank you. Yeah, Chain Stack. Yeah, the validators, and you were just like, yeah, running about 30,000 transactions in the last few months here, and it's like. It was pretty funny. I was just like, yep, this is the guy that's making your nodes run really hot. So, pretty cool. That guy was cool, right? Crack. He's like all about Gotchi now. Like, he was kind of a Gotchi fan. He knew of us. He knew our reputation. But through that spaces and then getting to meet him here in Singapore with the whole Polygon events going on right now, he's just like, yeah, I mean, he's totally on board and excited about, Gotchi Chain and hopefully ChainStack can contribute.
Yeah, I noticed that some of those friends, like yesterday, I was on Twitter early in the morning, and I forgot who it was. It might have been Mayor of Matic or Johnny. They were hosting Twitter Space, and they're like hosting more very bullish Polygon Twitter Spaces. Like, the idea, like that Sandeep was tweeting it like Polygon is inevitable. He saw all these Polygon maxis putting that up on Twitter. So I'm gonna try in my spare time to jump into more of those Twitter Spaces because we're the OG Polygon project. So we have to have representation when these Polygon bulls are basically spreading the love.
We were
for sure.
This is so on topic and something that maybe speaks to kind of, Aavegotchi DAO and some things like where you guys could do some heavy lifting as well as us. And it's like, I think it's because of what happened with Solana, right? When Frank DeGods and all of them came over, like there's just a whole new level of energy around Polygon on crypto Twitter and in the spaces. And if we show up, we are like we have a very unique we have carved out a very unique space in the wider Polygon ecosystem, and we earned it. And so if we just show up to these spaces, if we host these spaces, we go full time with it, it can be very, very powerful. And we have so many people here on stage right now and in the Hangout listening that could speak to Aavegotchi and join these spaces. So definitely encourage everybody to do that. Even at Pixelcraft, we're talking about like with the new CMO coming, he's like, we need a Johnny Metaverse, right? Like he's doing an amazing job for not just Polygon, but I understand he went full time with Magic Eden now. So he was kicking ass just as kind of like somebody who cared about the whole ecosystem, and then they picked him up, and I'm just like, man, that should have been us. So like, no futuristic, if you want to do it, Hefe, you guys, like, we'll host our weekly with Pixelcraft, but the more, it's very clear right now is the hot time with Polygon, and we just need to do more outreach and advocacy and host spaces and just dive in. It's a great time to grow your audience, to do Gotchi follow Gotchi, Polygon follow Polygon. It's the right time to do it. It's like growth time.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it. I mean, No Futuristic and I, we used to do Gotchi spaces every Sunday, but I think there's a lot more room for more spaces for sure. Like we could have our main Wednesday hangout with other partners, and then have like a more open, casual, open to all Polygon space would be kind of cool to have at some point during the week also.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be so formal. What I've learned from like watching some of these other guys, this is my take. You guys might have other opinions or other insights, but like Johnny Metaverse has been killing it, and he doesn't have like a set schedule. He just he hops in channels in Telegram, interacts with these people that are builders or founders or whatever, and then he's like, yo, let's talk publicly. It's kind of what we do with the StreamYards for Aavegotchi Explorers with like D-Work and Wonderverse. It's that concept except applied to spaces. It's like, let's just have these conversations in the open, and it's content. It's really good content. So I don't know. It's pretty cool what's going on right now. Polygon's got a lot of momentum, and we just want to, there's no reason we shouldn't be a big part of it. So that's my little spiel on spaces. Really bullish on spaces.
There's this there's a friend on Twitter, I believe his name is like Rainy Reese. He's rocking a Ute PFP, and he's been like advocating for himself to get a job with Polygon, like directly messaging or like sending tweets at Sandeep. But he's like a real big Polygon bull. But he actually mentioned yesterday, and I kind of commented on it, that like he thinks that whatever metaverses or games or PFPs that are out there can figure out some kind of skin or integration for Utes, that would be really big, like in onboarding that community, because they're such a rabid community. So, I mean, I know we don't generally do that, but like, I would love if we could do some kind of initiative where we can jump on stage or get the Utes crew in as observers, or do some kind of, because that crew is not a metaverse crew. So what we're doing here is going to blow their mind. They're just like PFP degens, but still, like, might be a good little. There might be some synergies there if we can figure it out.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think Frank DeGods and all those guys, they're doing good work. Like, they definitely know their stuff. And I was really hoping to meet him. He was just in Singapore. I was trying to get a meeting with him. It just didn't happen. The dude's like, it's a little different model, right? Like, he's definitely a crypto celebrity at this point. You just can't get him. He's in high demand. So anyway, I feel like that model, there's a reason. He's really smart on, like, he sees PFPs as a way to engage with online communities, and he's figured that out. So hanging out with what they're doing, I think there's totally potential there. And from what I hear, they're very friendly, very open-minded, and just want everything on Polygon to rock right now. That's their mindset. So yeah, we should engage with them and be friends.
I like the. I was just gonna say I like the fake gotchi collabs that we've done so far. I hope we see more of those as well, because what a great way to kind of showcase, some artwork from some of these other PFP projects with crossed over with some Aavegotchi.
One like I'm just brainstorming here, but if anybody does get in touch with them, like they kind of have a wearables thing, and maybe somebody can drop a link or look it up. It's you have your PFP, but then you're able to drop like Polygon hoodies on top of the PFP. Have you guys seen this? Like some of the Utes have Polygon, like how did they take a Utes and then suddenly it's wearing Polygon stuff because they came from Solana. And my understanding is there's a kind of dApp they built that like dresses up your PFP, adds new layers on top or something. And it doesn't do like us with traits and all that kind of modification, but just visually it does something. And I think that's pretty cool. Like we could talk to them about whoever draws and creates those, they're doing Polygon themed stuff now. I was just like, man, it'd be nice if they did like some Aavegotchi wearables for the Utes. That would be, and then we did some Utes wearables for the Aavegotchis, like, in the Forge, next iteration of the Forge or something. Like that kind of stuff is theoretically possible if people are interested in it.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I mean, what a great opportunity there. And that's another great point about the Forge. The Forge actually opens up those opportunities to do that, because we don't have to worry about inflating the wearable supply. We would just issue that schematic, and then whoever wanted to craft that item could go out and craft their limited edition, limited run kind of special item without affecting our supply, which is great.
Yeah, as I understand, the less that went out and crafted it, maybe it was a limited edition, you just end up with something really, even if it wasn't considered godlike, it would just be rare by default because like not enough people went out and made it. So that's the thing. Mm-hmm. It looks like Totally a Client in the weekly hangout text. Looks like Totally a Client is following them pretty close and knows about it. If you've got a link to that, I saw it passing through. So yeah, let us know. What am I talking about with this wearables for Polygon wearables for Utes? Somebody should follow up on that. And PixSquare, we could do it, but I mean, it could also be like something that maybe the DAO and the Forge, it might be a good fit for them. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I want to kind of pivot a little bit and ask you guys some questions about the arena, because we finished the second play test of it last week and want to find out if there's any information you could provide, like any data that was gleaned or like feedback that you have.
Yeah, we've been crunching the numbers a little bit, and let me pull up here what we saw. We are working on a kind of a balance for the next one, because it did seem like let's see, we're looking at it did seem like the rush attack was a little bit too OP, and the snipe was too underpowered. That was like one of the main things that we saw in the data. Let me pull up some of the numbers here, because we have some. There were a few bugs in some of the leaderboard stuff, but that we'll be fixing for the next one. But generally, the numbers were pretty interesting. So I'm trying to find here all my channels that I got. But yeah, the general takeaway. We had 519 players dealt more range damages than melee. 374 players dealt more melee damages. So it looked like players were more willing to play the game ranged over melee, but the ones who did play as melee were generally like they were doing better. So it was interesting to see some of the data coming through, that it does seem like we'll need to balance the melee versus ranged, especially the power the charge attacks for the next one. So there will be definitely. I actually saw a good convo between, I think it was Hardcore and someone else. It was really interesting. So some cool ideas in there. I don't know if we'll take any of them or maybe some of them, but it was really good to see that conversation happening, and what you guys were talking about does match up with the data. So that was pretty cool to see. And as far as like the invisible gotchis and stuff, we did do a lot of testing before. There are a couple. I think there's just a couple edge cases that the team still needs to work out that will prevent the invisible gotchis. But there's no reason why it can't be completely stomped out.
Yeah, that was interesting because I think one of the invisible gotchis was number 2 in kills. But if you look at the leaderboard, when we were looking at it last night, they were number 2 in kills, but only had played for like 5 minutes or something crazy like that. They had hundreds of kills, but in such a short period of time. Where the number 1 player, who had like 700 kills, had been in the game for 18 hours. So it was like, whoa, there's like, maybe these numbers are off, but there's a huge discrepancy here.
Yeah, and I told the team we're going to try to get faster at iterating on things. As we continue doing these play tests, we'll have now that we have like live feedback for the data as it's coming in. When we get enough data, we can like confidently make a small balance patch, let everyone know, and see how it goes. So where things will definitely start increasing in pace as things get more like stable in the arena, and we have this like nice leaderboard set up that we didn't have in the first one. So, and the enemies, I'm actually curious. We didn't really talk too much about the enemies, but what was your guys' thoughts on them? Were they fun to play with, or do you want them to be able to attack back? Like, what were any of the feedbacks on the enemies?
I was having a pretty glitch-free experience, except for the enemies. That's where I would fire away at the enemies, and oftentimes like my attacks wouldn't hit. So I don't know if there might be some kind of a glitch there, but I wasn't actually able to attack any of the enemies. But yeah,
Okay.
I like the idea of enemies. If they could attack back, that'd be kind of cool too.
I would love if they could attack back. That would be awesome. The enemies, when I was there, they were like a Trojan horse. Like, they were always in the corner. I would go to kill it because I thought it was easy prey, and then I get jumped by like 5 gotchis. So I just avoided them after that.
Getting baited by the turkeys.
I will say, like, I tend to use the melee a lot more than the range just because of my setup and like the mouse. And like from the first play test, I remember Butch kept killing me. Like, I had no chance against Butch, and I actually killed Butch 1 or 2 times, Butch Gotchi, with my melee this time. So I was like, all right, this is good. This is better. So I had it. It was a little easier, I think. But then again, I don't really use the range, so I can't really say how effective it would have been otherwise.
Yeah, I'd like to see. I think that's one thing I'm looking forward to improving is the ranged attacks, and especially the big ranged attack where you hold down and then you release. That would be cool if there's some sort of maybe stickiness to it, or it maybe there's an arc. I don't know.
You mean
It's
like
really,
actually it follows the target basically?
to some degree, you know what I mean? Like, it's not
Yeah.
going to like curve 90 degrees, but to some degree, maybe a little bit. I think that would balance it maybe a little bit better. I don't know, because I found with ranged attacks, it was actually quite difficult to get like decent ranged attacks in, especially if you had some really highly evasive Aavegotchis.
Right. I think part of it was just they move a little bit. The projectile was a little bit too slow.
Mhm.
That the ranged attack, mega, like we call it the charge attack, will definitely be getting like a buff in the next playtest.
In a general sense, how are you guys thinking about adjustments to the meta? Like, obviously, you're going to make some pretty big adjustments here up front early on, until you hit that right balance. But, playing these sorts of games in the past, I've noticed that over time, the meta just does change. Some games more quickly, others a little bit more slowly. Our Aavegotchi traits are randomly generated on chain, and they can't be changed very quickly, which makes me feel like maybe once we hit that balance, the overall kind of like battle meta is not going to change very quickly. But how are you guys thinking about making changes? Are you thinking like we're going to wait and see till we get community feedback and then we'll make changes, like after the fact, after we've hit that balance where everything seems to be working right? How are you going to kind of monitor gameplay and make changes after that? Or is it going to be on a case by case kind of thing?
So there's a couple of steps here. Where we currently are, we're trying to balance just the traits first, just the traits and the BRS, and making sure that that melee versus ranged is fairly balanced. Like there's always going to be imbalances between like a very powerful gotchi and a weaker gotchi, but we have a lot of data that we're collecting now that we can look at and crunch the numbers and basically tell, like, are they fairly balanced? We want to make sure that we're not balancing in a way that the experience like becomes the same. So there's like that way of balancing where you basically just bring them closer together. Like we want to have two extremes that are both very viable and yet are both like pretty balanced with each other via like the rock paper scissors mechanics. So we're currently in that stage, and I expect there to be pretty big balance patch like changes as we might even introduce like a new mechanic, like the charge that we didn't really even mention in the original Gotchi verse Bible, because it becomes like necessary, or there's a good reason to include it to help the balance. So no, I would say like I wouldn't get too attached to any of the like your specific metas at this point, and doing that, like getting attached or giving or like being like frustrated if your gotchi's meta changes, it's not really going to be productive to this process. So we definitely want feedback. We want to, and the feedback is like, this didn't really seem balanced, or this one was too OP, or I think this could be a cool mechanic that you might add that would help balance it a little bit more. That's all good feedback. But if it's like, oh, I'm angry that the devs changed the meta, now my gotchi like I don't like how it works, or I don't like how it plays, that's not going to be very helpful. So then once we've gotten to through this process, which will probably take, could take a couple more play tests, 3 to 4, before we have like a good handle on the traits balancing. We're also working, and we have like an entire spreadsheet full of all the different wearables that we've tried to give them all like a unique feel and some unique abilities. So those are going to take a while to actually build out, but a lot of the initial balancing has already been done on the Excel like spreadsheet side. And once that gets closer to we have to do a couple more like final reviews of it, but it might be something we could share with the community and let you guys tear it apart as per with the hive mind that we got going here. So that'd be pretty cool. I think that should be possible, because you guys will probably spot things that we missed, which is the advantage of having this kind of community process. So yeah, just to recap, we're currently in like stage 1 where we're balancing melee versus ranged, and then once we've gotten that, then we can start adding in melee weapons versus ranged weapons. And also there's wearables that aren't weapons, which will also have various effects within the game. Like don't want to give too much like alpha away, but like yeah, there'll be things you can drop on the ground. There'll be things that you can help your allies out with. So there will be some support roles as well. So yeah, that's
Wow.
generally what the arena and the PvP is going to look like. And the cool thing is, all of this balancing that we're doing, this is not just for the Gotchiverse. We're going to probably take a lot of this and be able to roll it over pretty much into the Gotchi Guardians experience as well. Like we don't want to reinvent the wheel twice. We want to get a decent balance for the Gotchis, and then really move our some focus over to the Liquidators as well for Gotchi Guardians. So a lot of this work is going to be, it's going to be reusable not only for us, but I can imagine some games some other people building games might want to also kind of adopt what we're doing here with the Gotchiverse and with Gotchi Guardians. It's a really good model for, this kind of balance process.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you hit on another key point there. I think having the DAO involved in this is one of the things that makes that actually make this DAO built game special in a way compared to traditional games or even other Web 2 games that are built more of in a Web 2.5 kind of way. In my opinion, I think having a DAO built game is going to solve a problem with many MMORPGs is where they roll out patches and they try to fix one thing, but the community was also looking at this other thing that had to be balanced that didn't get addressed, and now there's another problem with the meta, and now everybody else, another group of people is angry, and there's this back and forth that keeps happening where they're not really taking in community feedback, and so there's a lot of frustration in that regard with changing metas in traditional games.
Yeah, I mean, the hard thing is with this process that we have that bags are involved. So, for example, if once we drop this wearables spreadsheet and we say these are the initial plans we have for wearables, and people start looking at it, then it starts affecting bags. So it would be like a potentially like an addition to one of the Gotchiverse Bible chapters where we say, I think this is even mentioned in one of the chapters, is like we're going to release eventually an entire spreadsheet that covers all this stuff. But it's like it's released, but it's not confirmed yet. We need to actually vote it in via the normal like Gotchiverse Bible process. So we don't want people to like talk their bag and have it can get dramatic where like there's fighting about like what specific abilities wearables can have, and it could get like pretty messy. So we want to try to avoid that as much as possible, but it is kind of inevitable in this process.
Yeah, as soon as you release that new stat, the wearable market will start pricing that in immediately. So
yeah, and things could change. So people might things might change based on like the previous state that the wearable is in might have affected their decision to buy that wearable, and things like that can happen. So that's kind of an unfortunate it's an unfortunate side effect of the process where we all have skin in the game, which is good, but when you're building the game and the community is building it together, people might get burned in some areas. But yeah, like Dr. Wagner says, there always is a big disclaimer. The Gotchiverse Bible itself is a big disclaimer. It's like a release, but it's not confirmed yet. It's not confirmed until the DAO has signed it into existence, and even then, it can always be updated by a DAO proposal as well.
It's interesting that you're bringing this up because actually, I'm a Cool Cats holder. We all know this. Cool Cats just did like a brand relaunch, and they've added something called a Cool Score, which will help you get better rewards in the future. And people on Twitter have kind of complained about it because they feel like new people who are entering the ecosystem, in order to get your Cool Score up, you have to accumulate all the different assets and do journeys and do whatever, like actually engage, but pick up a lot of NFTs. So some people have complained that like this is going to force some people, like just the natural subset of society, are going to degen in and get burnt because they're going to try to chase that score, and it's not going to, the yield isn't going to be there. So it is like a issue that is faced in more than just our project, because degens are going to degen, and you can put like safety rails up for them, but sometimes that's not even enough.
Yeah, this score I've seen. I don't know if it was Cool Cats or someone else. I'm wondering if there's like a protocol that's out there for doing this, because I've seen this as well on another project where you can kind of, it's like I think it's an off-chain metric, right? But you can increase it by like building in the Gotchiverse could increase your score, or I don't know, like being active in the Discord. There's all these different ways to increase your kind of your gamer score, and that makes you eligible for wearables and stuff, or like giveaways, airdrops and stuff in the future, right?
Yeah, pretty much. To answer Free Beer, they have, I'm gonna put in air quotes, a game. It's not a game. They have their Cooltopia where you go in and like you do a quest, but the quest is basically a VRF role. And then they have boss quests, which are just like VRF rock paper scissors. So they haven't developed it whatsoever. They're actually cutting off milk, which is also pissing off some people because they're going to just drop the utility that, the token that's being given away, the UBI, if you're a cat, which it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. But yeah, the cool score seems interesting, but you have to keep accumulating other assets. You can do it via Discord and like being an active member, but you have to collect all the assets with the hope of getting a higher tier or rarity for minting on like future drops, which like I'm kind of like, I don't know if that's great, I don't think that's great.
So you gotta collect cool NFTs in order to collect like better cool NFTs, or to get whitelisted for them.
Yeah, and then there's also like buying stuff in the store with milk. Like if you complete the boss trophies, like you do a boss quest, you get a trophy. You have to do like a few of these different boss quests to get to higher boss quests. But every time you do a boss quest, you have to pay milk, and your cat has something like energy. Every day it can do 2 quests. So if you go and do a fight, like a boss fight, your cat can't do anything else. So you have to burn resources to actually get the, some of the other stuff. So there's like a little pushback on that from some of the community.
I see a question here. The Brat. Why do we need this before the game? I think he or she is referring to Gotchi Guardians. So Gotchi Guardians, the role of Gotchi Guardians that we see is kind of like it's meant to be a pretty light game. It's not going to be it is 3D, so there's that part of it that we want to have a reason and a catalyst for our team to spend some budget getting all the Aavegotchis 3Dified, which is going to unlock a lot of metaverse opportunities. Like people are knocking on our door a lot and they're saying, hey, we'd love to have your Aavegotchis in our metaverse, but like you guys don't have the GLTF files, do you? And we say, no, we don't. It'd be cool if we did. So we've been wanting to do 3D for a while. It's just, I feel like we want to be part of the greater like metaverse movement, and having 3D is kind of a prerequisite for that. So that's one of the kind of dependencies that and one of the reasons we wanted to go with this 3D unity for Gotchi Guardians is just so we have, at the end of this, we're not just going to have the GLTF, we're also going to have this game. So the process of the 3Difying, we've talked to a couple parties. We don't think it's going to be extremely intense. Like it's going to be work for sure. There's a lot of wearables and we want to make them look good. So there will be definitely some work on that part. As far as Gotchi Guardians itself, it's a pretty straightforward game. The main complexity really is just the balancing of Aavegotchis and liquidators. And so if you think about it, the reason we think this is a good idea is it's a pretty low lift game, and we're going to start getting a lot of data about Gotchis and liquidators. We have a lot of Gotchi data, but we don't have a lot of liquidator data. So we want to kind of have a playground where we can have these different liquidators fighting against the Gotchis in a kind of a more controlled environment. And we're going to get a cool cross-platform mobile game out of it. So that's really what the intention is with Gotchi Guardians. It's not going to take away from the Gotchiverse team. It's honestly, there's probably going to be a lot of it that is initially for the prototype, initially like outsourced. It won't be our team working on it. We're going to do a lot of the design, but the prototype, the initial playable demo, will probably be another studio that we work with to get that done. And then the final touches will be done by our team. So it's not really going to take a ton of Gotchiverse team bandwidth. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome for our team to learn and get some experience with Unity 3D, because most of them are JavaScript pros. They're not really Unity pros, but they're going to be learning. They're so excited to learn Unity, which I think is going to be really cool for the team. It's always good to have opportunities where your team can learn and grow, right? So lots of pluses. Obviously, the negatives are we worried that it's gonna get in some sort of like development hell? Yeah, there's always that chance. We're gonna try to avoid that as much as possible by keeping the scope very limited. and getting that initial playable demo. So yeah, we're also we want to make sure we have a simple, easy to understand game that launches with Gotchi Chain. That's going to be Gotchi Chain is a big opportunity for onboarding new people that they don't even necessarily need to be on Polygon or Ethereum. We can just use Wirt. We can use a credit card, and they could already be playing this game on our chain. So yeah, it's going to be really, I think it's going to be really cool. It's going to be one of the highlights of the year for sure.
The 3D gotchis, that's something I'm really excited about, especially when you said that, you know, the wearables and all these other things will transfer over and we'll have those files to take to other metaverses. I feel like that's just adding value to our assets already. You know, like we already have these assets, but we're, you know, this looks like this Gotchi Guardians game is going to add some more utility to what these assets can do, where they can go. Possibly, like you were saying, Golden Cross to maybe other metaverses in this new form. You know, we saw Genza Kishi. They're already kind of experimenting with 3D Aavegotchis. We got the Sandbox game.
Yeah.
Gotchi Farmy.
Exactly.
So that could be another iteration for them there. Like I see this being very useful for other games as well.
There's a ton of there's Sandbox where we're going to have an experience in Sandbox, and these 3D models likely won't be ready by the time that goes live, although depending on when Sandbox goes live, it could be. So we would love to have 3D gotchis playable in the Sandbox. They're a little bit more like voxel style, so there's probably a conversion or something they could do. But where we are right now, we don't even really have a 3D model. So Sandbox is one, Monaverse, Kinsukishi. There's another one. It's I always forget the name of it. It's the more VR friendly ones. There's a ton of like VR games that are coming out, VR metaverses.
The Somnium Space.
Yeah, Somnium Space.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Yuga Labs thing. So it's like not doing 3D is we feel like we're gonna be we don't want to miss the boat on that. We kind of, because we're on Polygon for the last like 2 years, we haven't been a huge part of the conversation of you know, Ethereum and NFTs. We want to make sure we're part of the conversation of the metaverse going forward. The only way to do that is to have the assets that they need.
Yeah, see, I think in this sense, Aavegotchi's truly, you know, embracing the whole idea of this metaverse by taking our assets not only in our own metaverse, but making it usable across different metaverses. I think that's kind of what the whole aim of the metaverse is like this interoperability between assets in one place and another. Even though the Gotchiverse is, of course, our home, and that's where a lot of activity will happen. It seems like we're gonna transcend. We're gonna go across other metaverses, and that'll be really cool to see.
There was some questions about the Alchemica usage in Gotchi Guardians. Without giving away too much about it, because there will be more in-depth kind of blog post / white paper, light paper on it. There definitely, we do want to offer a completely free-to-play model. By free-to-play, I mean not even having to own an Aavegotchi. And there'll be more about that in the blog post. But so there will be like this free-to-play model, but we do want to offer more pay-to-play model, and it's going to be kind of if you imagine a kind of controlled pay-to-win, where the pay-to-win, it's not necessarily you pay and you automatically have an advantage, because your opponent will also have the same budget as you. So it's like it's still very strategic, and it more becomes both players or both sides will have a certain budget that they can spend if they want. They don't have to. If they want, they can spend it, and then at the end of the round, whoever wins will be like splitting those the Alchemica or the glitter or the ghost, whatever that's been spent in the game. There's definitely going to be ways to use the Alchemica, ways to use the glitter, but we do want to work very hard to make sure it's not just like pure pay to win, because that's not fun.
This is actually a question that we should ask. We know the game will be mobile. Will it also be browser based? Like, will we be able to play it on a desktop or a laptop?
Yeah. So with Unity, they out of the box it comes with basically all of the different devices. We will have, like, getting it into the app. The Apple Store is a challenge. We do have some team members who have gone through that process before for crypto games, so they'll be steering us there. But yeah, the intention is definitely to have it as many platforms as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because my follow-up question was going to be, how will you handle the App Store? Because I know they take they're going to take a huge chunk out of whatever earnings in game. I don't know if they've changed their rules recently, especially after Elon started fighting with them. But
No, they haven't.
Oh, they haven't.
Well,
yeah, because I know if you have Twitter Blue on your iPhone, you pay $11. Where if you do it on sign up for the account anywhere else, you're only paying $8. So you have to pay that extra $3 to Apple.
yeah, that's just they control the platform. Not much you can really do about that.
We need to make a Gotchi app store then. Just take over.
Yes. It'll happen.
How's Solana phone going? I haven't heard much about that recently. Weren't they making a phone?
Oh, I didn't hear anything about this. That's interesting.
I feel like the coverage would be spotty. Like the coverage has to be spotty if the network is turning on and off randomly. Like I can't imagine a cellular network that's going to be like that, unless it's I guess Boost Mobile or something.
See, Zbot dropped some alpha in the chat there. I'm thinking this might have something to do with his fake gotchis that he just released. And so if your address owns token ID, you will get VRM1. And if you don't, you get VRM0. So VRM models are kind of like these, they're 3D models that you can use. I think Monoverse uses them. So that's really interesting.
Oh, it's January 15th. Yeah. A little bit of alpha there for sure.
So check out his Gotchi toy that just recently dropped in the fake Gotchis marketplace there. Wonder how many people have got their hands on the toy.
I want to say shout out to Boba. Boba's in the chat above. Their Flagger episode series. We got to watch the third episode last night on Block Party, and it's good. Like
It was good.
It is strange. I love it. But it is good. It's one of the most unique fake Gotchi pieces out there. The series that's being put together.
We're seeing the early days of Gotchi cinema because we're seeing this story being told through the Flagor series, and then we see Lone Raffle and Sus. We got ZombieShepherd up here, but you're doing a whole series on these two characters, and that's been going pretty well. I think you got your first episode out in the form of the fake Gotchi, and I think you have a lot more planned, right? There's a lot more coming down the pipeline with that. Gotcha.
Also, since we're here talking to ZombieShepherd about this, I remember you saying yesterday about casting. Would you want to talk about that here? Maybe put out a pitch to potential actors or actresses?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just voice acting. Who was it? We did when we did the like the Great Liquidator and all that. We had some pretty awesome voice actresses.
Oh yes, yeah. That was I believe Roxiana was one of the characters, and then we also had Laura, who's our Australian Gachi Gang Connect. She played one of the characters, and then
Friend
the
this
other
summer
one,
did bring a ringer, though.
yeah, he did. Yeah,
Yeah, she was really
exactly.
good. I forgot her name.
There was one who's actually she was like a pro like voice actress. I forget her name though.
Yeah, that was a Friendless Summers one of their I don't know what relation, but you know, one of their friends, I guess, that was doing it. Yeah, I think that's going to become a thing. We'll see some more of this. Like, it's really interesting to see these like little mini episodes and storylines being developed. And speaking of which, we got, I don't know if we have Bowtied Nerd in the house, but he's kicked off a thread that you guys should all go check out in the Aavegotchi DAO forums for like not screenplay. The word's not coming to me right now. Like role play, text-based role play. So he's kicking off the text-based role play in that forum thread there, and it could develop into something. I think it could be really cool quests to do, kind of like the agent missions to develop the Gachi lore. You know, the book of Gachi lore needs to be developed. So anybody who is in the audience who is interested in you know, maybe you're interested in storytelling, or maybe you're a dungeon master or something, definitely join us. And you know, we're crafting the lore of the Gachiverse. Aside from the core lore that's been laid out there, I think there's many gaps to fill here. So that's going to be exciting to see that develop, in my opinion.
Also, we should probably talk to Bowtied Nerd, because we were discussing. I think we can discuss this here because not really alpha of any sort, but at ETH Denver, you know, we're trying to plan out the events for the coffee shop event. I forget the name of it, but we want to include maybe some trivia, like stuff similar to what we did in New York. So we want to put together some trivia questions. So maybe Bowtied Nerd is the best friend for that. But make it challenging, and give away some gotcha goodies while we're there.
Yeah, trivia could be really fun. I saw that you guys did that in NFT NYC. It looked like a good time. And did you do that in Art Basel as well? I can't remember.
Not while I was there. I don't know if they
Okay.
on the second date that they had the event.
Gotcha. Okay. I think they're gonna be at ETH Denver too, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
we could probably get more trivia to spin something up if we talk to him.
That was a good time in New York, though. I think No Future. Do you remember what we used? It was a subscription service, and they allow
Oh,
you.
it was an app of some sort. I don't remember.
Yeah, you'd like everybody would scan it with their phone, and then you use it in the classroom. It's very popular in classrooms, I guess now, but also for parties and stuff. And then like the faster you answer you have to get the question right, and you have to be the fastest. And if you do that, you climb the leaderboard, and at the end you win cool stuff. Sir Linkiest, I remember he won the top spot that night.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some quick fingers. Quick fingers.
Kahoo, yeah, that's the one. CRTC's got it. It's Kahoo. You guys could set that up. That is a good time. I would just recommend, I think based on feedback, knowing as a Gachi crowd, like it was way too easy at New York. It was all about speed. It wasn't about being right or wrong, because everybody nailed it.
So we got to think of some like really challenging questions, stuff that's gonna make you scratch your head a little bit.
Yeah, some entry level Gachi stuff, and then like some you're in the Hangouts Gachi stuff. Sig prop numbers. Oh, certainly.
What's the brand of Coder Dan's saddle chair?
Yeah, that would be amazing. Just let Sir Linkius, let's give him a bounty to write the quiz questions since he won the last round. How about that? Give him homework. No, but there's going to be a lot of cool merch. I don't know if Lost Local or anybody has talked about that for ETH Denver and beyond. It'll be available online too. We're going to have some pretty cool reveals here very soon for a kind of second half of winter collection. So if you live in the north, it'll still be very, very useful and cozy, nice warm stuff. And if you're at ETH Denver, it'll definitely be some really good merch and good swag to rock out.
Yeah. People in Maine, or I think it's New Hampshire, Mount Washington, they have like a negative 100 degree chill, wind chill. They could probably use some of this gear. Yeah.
I saw that today. I guess that it's like a mountaintop that's famous for extreme weather, but the video going viral, it's like, it looks, I don't know, like it's another planet.
I was gonna say otherworldly. Looks like.
It's crazy. They're saying that because the pressure dropped so much that it's like technically the part of the mountain that's being exposed to all these winds is like in the stratosphere. Troposphere. I was reading it and I was just like, wow, it just like, it looks intense. Like, holy crap.
I have to say, I can see Mount Baker from where I live, and it looks like on a clear day, which is very rare. When you see that, it looks just so epic. It's just it dwarfs everything around it.
Hey, what do you guys think of this? I'm pretty sure these are going to be one of the many things that are going to be revealed here soon in terms of physical merch. I tried to get this super confirmed, but I'm at 99% with this. It's already been approved. I just don't know if it's already being produced. Have a look, guys, in Weekly Hangout.
Ooh.
Oh, I like that. That
Yeah, I
brings me
dig
back
that.
to my Boy Scout days.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a fan of patches. Stickers are cool, but man, a good patch is a different level.
That looks like a quality patch right there. Ever since 2020, I love it.
It's got
because it's.
Yeah, I think they will be. They're supposed to.
Yeah, that's fire.
No.
Because like it makes the barrier of entry so low for making like your own wearable. Like if I have a nice sweater and I put this on, it's like, or like a cool jacket, it's now like, a shoulder patch, like I'm a general in the Gachi army or something like that. That's dope. I like that.
Yeah, I think totally. No, I see Tibert asking about the Velcro backing. I don't know. Talk to Lost Local. He's our physicals merch lead, so physical goods lead. But he's heading all that up, and it's a priority to get it available at shop.aavegotchi.com, but also get it available in time for ETH Denver. So, regardless, whatever, we know a lot of people from the DAO are getting out there in various ways, and Pixelcraft, we're also sending Jason. So we got to be, if we're going to be there, we got to be seen. And so it's going to be things like this patch, but also clothes and various options to just represent Aavegotchi and be seen.
Now I
Yeah,
gotta
we've
go to my
actually,
local thrift store and get myself a jean jacket so I can put some patches on it, and then
Well, luckily, Lost Local has already ordered mic flags for us. So our interviewer mics, when we hit the streets and are doing like
Those are
collecting
so
content.
dope.
Yeah, it's gonna have the Aavegotchi logo and then the DAO logo on it. So it'll be really cool. Actually, let me see if I can. I'll drop some of the images real quick.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. If you got it, you should drop it. It's more appropriate. It looks great. Like Local showed me what you guys got ordered up, and I think it just makes people more likely to talk to you. It's like a normal mic, and then like you get one that has the branding on it, and it's like, who are these guys? I want to talk to them. I'll tell them about NFTs or Aavegotchi.
yeah, the professionalism 10x is there when you put the mic flag on, for sure.
It's all about the details. Yeah.
It also makes the mic work better because it's covering up part of the, like it's just more directional. So it'll help in that sense.
Oh, nice. You dropped it there. Yeah, I love that you got the Dow shield and the Aavegotchi branding. It's perfect. It's gonna be very nice.
Yeah, we lucked out because we were looking at mic flags, and every other style of mic flag wouldn't be delivered until like sometime like late March. But this mic flag, which is actually perfect for the mics that we have, is the one that would get here in time. So it's like, all right, perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, that's gonna be really good.
Yeah, we'll be wearing our gotcha gear. I know, Hefe, I'm gonna try to bring because I owe you a hat and some shirts. So I'm gonna bring. I have that box full of the stuff that I actually shipped to you that got shipped back, but it's in my sister's house. So that's in New York. That's gonna have to just I won't be in New York until God knows when. But I'll bring you definitely a shirt and a hat, some stickers and stuff.
Oh man, I would really, really appreciate that, and I'm glad that box did not make its way out into the ether because that box was supposed to end up here at my place, and it got shipped back for some reason. And so, we'll get that box one day. But I appreciate you hooking me up, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, shout out to Goobs. I got the Lichter Alive wood press, like the wooden actual physical piece in the mail yesterday. It's up in my studio now, actually behind me. Let me show. It's gonna be hard to see, but I'll pull it off the wall. It just looks dope.
It's a quality
first
piece of
edition.
woodwork.
Yeah, first edition of 5, and I got him to sign it on the back, and then Music City Gotcha Gang, Goobs, and the first edition. So very happy for this. Thank you, Goobs.
That's the first piece of gotcha woodwork ever, I think, that you own there.
Yeah, and it
Do we
has
have
like,
any-
I could smell the laminate, so or whatever he used to like gloss
Yeah.
it. So it's like I don't know if it's like, making me dizzy or not because it's like laminate smell in my little room, but it's like I could, it just makes it more real. Like this Goobs actually worked with his hands to make this. Like that's so dope.
Yeah, like takes me back to shop class. Like we used to make stuff like that, like wood burning and like cutting out different stencils and stuff. It was always a good time, but I'd like to see that happening with some. Do we have some gotcha woodworkers in the house? Do we have some furniture builders or something? Can make like a really cool gotcha table or something. I would buy that.
My dad actually does like incredible. There's this art form called intarsia. Let me find the picture because it's so insane.
How do you spell that? I need to Google it. Intarsia.
I'll drop the word here, and then I'll drop a picture of it. He's getting up in age, so he doesn't really sell a lot of stuff anymore. But check out this picture. This is Monticello from the U.S. This is all done with real wood. There's no paint. There's like no staining, and it's like 3D. There's like different depths and stuff of the wood. It's crazy. He literally like handcrafts each piece, and then he like glues it. I think he glues it in there. And yeah, there's like all these different types of woods. There's all these different like thicknesses of the wood. I remember he was spending multiple years like trying to find the perfect blue wood. For one piece he was doing back in the day. And I think he originally did eventually find it. But yeah, it's nuts. Like this is big. This is a big piece. This is like I don't know what the size is, like 40 inches probably. It's pretty big.
Oh wow. That kind of reminds
So
me.
I'll get him. When I go back to the U.S., I'll be like, I'll get him to make a gotchi. We gotta maybe just do the logo gotchi. Would be pretty cool.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
I was
that'd
gonna
be
be
awesome.
way more demanding, and I was gonna be like, we need a Intarsia Citadel, like the whole Citadel. But that would probably take like 5 years to make. I don't know.
Masterpiece right there.
Yeah, seriously. He also does like tables and stuff. He's done like these pretty epic. Like he made a coffee table for my brother. It's nuts. Like, but there's no one like taken over. So it's gonna he for a while he was one of the number one like Antarctica guys in the world. Pretty crazy. But I made a website for him when I was like 12 years old in HTML. But well, next time I go back, I'll definitely get him to make a gotchi for us.
Oh,
Like, Dad, you
dope.
got to restart the business. We got some degens on the internet that need these pieces.
You know, I was sitting at breakfast yesterday with like my girlfriend, and she pulled out. I was like working on something, and she pulled out a word search, and I was like, man, we should be doing something like that. We could very easily make a gotchi word search book. You know, throw some cute because the IP is like perfect to like put images in and make a fun, you know, book that's like just word searches because there's so many people who are into those kind of simple puzzles. But if we gotchify them, I think it'd be easy to get people to like look at it and engage.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool idea. Yeah.
I wonder what's the like how heavy of a lift is it to actually like develop a word search like book because it has to be more than one obviously.
There's a lot of websites that like, they'll make a word search. You just type in the words you want, and it kind of like generates it for you. I think probably not that hard.
So I wonder if that would
Just
make it
the
pretty
printing
cheap
of it. The printing of it would be the toughest part, but even that, it's like you can self print pretty easy.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, I remember somebody, I forgot which friend did it, but they did a fake gotchi that was a crossword puzzle.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
so that could be a fake gotchi. That'd be,
I mean, like printed stuff would be super cool if someone there's funds for it, right? If you got a vision, if you want to do something, DAO's there's a lot. We're figuring out how to pay people with the DAO soon in a more efficient way. So I think that would be like a very fundable idea, right? It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, using this IP IRL is going to be a big deal. I think one of the ways that we could do that is, like you say, through these word searches or you know, physical meeting. This would be great to give out at like IRL events. You know, a word search because then now you're going to go through it and you're going to learn all these different terms. Could be interesting. You know, Sudoku. You could do Gotchi Sudoku.
Yeah.
We were looking at
Oh,
some
I was
fake
gonna
Gotchi.
ask you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Just there's a question above. Like, have you guys practiced your Aavegotchi elevator pitch for all the ETH Denver crew going? Like, if you're in an elevator or you just like you meet someone. What do you guys usually like to? What have you found like gets people the most interested, or what have you found as like a good elevator pitch?
well, from my part, we've been thinking and discussing like the idea of actually coming up with more than one elevator pitch. Like one that is dev specific. So that's like maybe going into the gotchi chain, talking about like I'm also thinking for media, so that my answer is going to bleed into that. Like man on the street interviews when we're stopping and talking to people, instead of just going directly and asking them about Aavegotchi, you know, in a dev centric environment, it might be a good question to ask some devs like, what do you know about the diamond contract? You know, the diamond standard for Ethereum EVM, and then kind of pull them into like the fact that Mudge is part of Aavegotchi and that came from here. You know, versus finding the PFP degen, the pitch is going to be different than you would for the dev. So developing pitches for each, like, I guess, onboarding case is part of the plan.
Do we have like these pitches that you guys are preparing for different kind of people that you meet? Be cool to like have the sales pitch, right? Then everyone on going to ETH Denver kind of knows what nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of the idea also is like ideally, we want to get the information for the pitch together, get all of that together, and then when we're all together in Eat Denver, like in the days leading up to everything, basically do an orientation. Like, Gotchi Gang, who's here, the crew, this is what we're aiming to do. This is the these are the pitches we're going for, and then just kind of establishing and organizing ourselves so that we're able to hit things in the most efficient way possible.
I think one of the big pitches for Eat Denver is going to be Gotchi Chain. I think that's going to be, like I think Golden Cross, you said it earlier. It's not that you couldn't build on the protocol earlier. It's just that now we're going to be in our own kind of console or sandbox where we can actually build specific products on top of the chain, and we want to attract those other large builders or large studios that maybe are really excited about SuperNets, and only to find that one of the OG games on Polygon, the first gaming protocols on Polygon, is now going to its own chain. And so that's a huge opportunity, in my opinion, for anybody who is looking to build in Web3 and get that instant kind of engagement with their game, is to build on top of Gotchi Chain. We have all the assets. We have a player base that's ready to play your game. I think that's a huge value proposition for somebody who's like an indie game studio, because they may not want to, or they may not have the resources to kind of grow a whole community base, maybe research all these different kinds of assets, hire someone to design the assets. I think it's a lot lighter of a lift to go on a gaming protocol like Aavegotchi and build out whatever experience you're going to build out and use the Aavegotchi assets. It's a huge value add, in my opinion.
I also think it's easy to stand on the shoulders of giants, such as the Gotchi Farmy, such as the Gotchi Vault, Adventure.io, all the great builders that we have in our ecosystem already. And to be able to go to people and say, hey, we have an active DAO. If you have a good idea, look at this. People get funded. We have a process you can go through. Like Jesse said above, if the D work is up and we have bounties specific to dev work, that's even better because it makes it easier to sell to them this idea of this open protocol where you can build, and what you build will be appreciated. It will provide utility to the community and will provide a way for you to grow yourself and also our ecosystem, which I think benefits everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other point to make there is the ghost token. Like, we have some big changes coming up for our ghost token, with moving away from the bonding curve. And so I think that presents its own opportunities, because historically we know, the bonding curve has suppressed volatility, which has been good for growing our ecosystem and establishing like prices of wearables and whatnot. And now we can move away from that, because we do actually have a robust kind of ecosystem to help bolster our token. And so that could be another, another pitch there as well for maybe a non-dev or like the general just interested in Aavegotchi. I want to invest in Aavegotchi. How do I get started with that? Well, you could buy Ghost Token. Maybe you might not want to get exposure to wearables and everything right away, but Ghost Token might be the easy way to get in and get some exposure to Aavegotchi. So, yeah.
Quickly, Yannick, because I'm a little confused. Maybe I got lost in the sauce here. You said you applied and it didn't work. Do you know how much time it takes? Are you talking about for Eve Denver, like to speak? Because I know Ernani applied to speak and he still hasn't heard back if he's going to be speaking there or not. Or are you speaking about a bounty specifically? Am I missing something? Oh, speaking about the funding process within the DAO, like applying for something with the funding, with the funding process within the DAO, I can't really speak to that because I'm not part of any of those entities that do the funding. I've asked for funding. I'm still waiting to be paid for some of that funding, but I don't really know much about that. I guess Hefe can answer that question.
I'm sorry, I missed that first part of the question with Yannick. Is he asking? I'm trying to read the question here. Applied. I missed the question. What were you
Oh,
asking
he's
there,
asking.
Yannick?
I guess he applied for funding and it didn't work. And he's asking for the timetable. He applied with Fireball.gg for funding, and he's just asking how long it takes for funding, and said that it didn't work. So
Yeah, no, I
at
mean
this
Yannick
point,
and I talked about Fireball GG. I think there were some changes he was going to make before he applied again for funding from his initial proposal. So it is an iterative process. I don't think we've ever like rejected funding, but there's always like, hey, well, you could get funded, but you might want to change these few things. I don't, off the top of my head, remember exactly what it was, but I'd have to go back and check. But I can definitely catch up with Yannick on that, and we can, get that sorted out.
yeah, I think also the other thing that we have to remember is right now, in the role of like kind of like bounties, like the DTF doesn't have a budget, right? The budget, the war chest is empty. We're waiting to actually refill it. So if you're coming for, I guess for smaller funding that would have went through Hefe before, that's kind of tapped out at the moment until we get more funding. For larger funding, like I assume something with Fireball GG because they're doing such big things, that might be wiser to go straight through like a SIG prop. I don't know. I don't know of the process how that would work though. Like the most efficient way to have that work.
Yeah,
10K plus. I don't know what's the threshold, Hefe, for like funding in terms of approach to
I mean,
full
there
down
really,
versus...
I mean, you say small versus big, but I don't think there really was a threshold. It was a more based on what we had in the tank, what was left in the budget. Like you say, there isn't anything left now. But as you guys all know, we're discussing a way for the DAO to fund projects in a better way, in a more accountable way, and possibly have some leadership positions appointed. And so I think that's the way we might be going with like this new, whatever you want to call it, executive committee or leadership team or, whatever, DTF 2.0. But that's the route that we're going now. And so there's never a stop to getting your funding. You could still go through the DAO. Like Infinity Keys recently approached me, and they had a really interesting idea. And so I suggested that, if they would like to get funding from the DAO, maybe we discuss it at one of the DAO meetings, and they were able to, they fielded some questions, and then they put their proposal through, after making some adjustments to their ask. And that's a SIG prop now. I think it's up. So there's always a way to get funded with your projects, whether you're going through some sort of a committee or you could go right through the DAO. That's always the option as well.
Yeah, just right now, the till is empty until do we know what the timeline is before that till is refilled? I know hardcore needs cigarettes, so we gotta figure this out.
Yeah, well, the core prop is up right now, so once that passes, we can, just figure all that out.
Oh, that's perfect. So we're not talking months, we're talking weeks. So that's
no. What? Well, yeah, no, that would be ridiculous to wait that long. But the core prop is up. Once that passes, we can sort that out.
Yeah, Yannick, I would fully encourage you, like, if you, maybe contact Hefe to plan this out and hardcore.
Absolutely.
But on a Sunday, I think if you have a plan, especially one that you've presented already for funding, if you feel, open to it and time is permitting, come up on stage on a Sunday and show it to us. Because I think maybe that could be a thing that moves straight. You do the presentation and we move it to a SIG prop, something similar like what you said before with Chair and Infinity Keys. I think we're definitely all open to that.
Yeah, absolutely. We're always open to talk about these sorts of things on Sunday. So Yannick, you're definitely welcome to discuss your idea there.
Also,
and
Thrax,
that mega NFT display is huge. Just had to comment on that. So big.
how long are they available to craft?
1 more week. So the crafting period will end on the 11th, like right before the hangout.
Yeah. Shout out to the tech lords. It's your moment.
I'm gonna pull out some stats on how many have been minted. The Gotchi board competition has been nuts. There's 2 more, about how many hours left? Like 36 hours in this round. It's been pretty intense.
Yeah, so kind of last chance to shake up the leaderboard here. I may have to hop in and mint some 16 by 16s.
I had a
Oh,
crazy idea today. It was like there's some exchanges out there that have like they do the airdrops for in their token for trading, right? It was like, what if we did that for the bazaar and similar to a gotchi board competition, but it's like a trading contest.
Yeah.
Like I wonder, could we earn more? Could we earn the ghost back that is used for the trading contest? Like if there was like a 20,000 ghost prize, would the DAO be able to earn that 20,000 ghost back from the fees of the bazaar? It's like could be interesting thought experiment.
no, futuristic. You were saying something like 400,000 ghost worth of Alchemica has been burned in this competition. Was that you saying that?
Yeah, that was me. I'm like paraphrasing something I saw
Okay.
in passing from Dr. Wagme. I believe it was last night in the general chat. He had mentioned that like through I think round three, we're already at 400 K of USD equivalent of Alchemica burnt. And like I was also talking about something that Coda Dan said that like people kind of like the Keck Lords going crazy with these NFT displays. They're minting things that are not causing further inflation, which I think is part of the goal, right? Because it's just pure
Yeah.
sync at that point. So that's a win. So I think when we do further iterations of this competition, I was skeptical of this competition. It has clearly worked. So like bravo, congratulations. I think in the next iterations, you should definitely lean into doing more decos and stuff like this, where it's not going to
Mhm.
inflate, but people will still buy it because it's still part of the competition,
Yeah.
the meta.
And like maybe there's
Yeah,
some
there could be a
ways.
multiplier for like NFT displays or decorations or tiles, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be amazing because people would like when the NFT displays came online. I didn't make a big splash until last week because I was like kind of waiting, and then I saw this week. I was like, God, everybody's already piled in. But like that, I immediately was like, I need NFT displays. This is the route.
So have you minted any of the Golden ones yet?
I haven't yet. That's why I was asking when they're going to be done. I'm still
You're
like
mulling it
waiting
over
to do it.
still.
Yeah.
I'm
You don't
curious
know.
why. So like the 157, the 8 by 12, 12 by 8, those are pretty low, obviously because they're not limited edition. Their resale value of that is it's a little bit lower, and then you get to ID 160, which is NFT display 16 by 16. That's also like these are not limited edition items. They're gonna be like craftable forever. So I'm curious if anyone is doing the competition, why they chose the normal one over the more expensive Le Golden NFT display. I'd love to have them like perspective on how that decision was made. Because if the goal is to spend as much Alchemica, it wouldn't make sense to go for the one that's going to be like deprecated soon.
Well, I would think that it could be smaller friends who are literally just taking their Alchemica that they're getting from channeling and reinvesting it into buying NFT displays. So they might not be able to do a big one all at once. They might just be buying like one a day or something like that.
I'd like
Yeah.
to. I'd like. Yeah.
Phase says no space. That's an interesting reason. Like, dude, I'm out of room. These things are huge.
I mean, yeah, if you want to cover a lot of ground, it makes sense. So, like, if you're actually wanting to use the NFT display on your parcel, then it totally makes sense. And that's I think we do see a lot of those. For the resale value, if you're trying to maximize your potential gains, might make sense to go for more Le Goldens because those will be listable in the bazaar later.
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
thought too, because I looked at the cheaper ones and I was like, they're going to be open forever versus like the Goldens, which will be limited. Although this one is already like we've already minted out more than the other Goldens, right? Combined.
There's 19 so far. I'd have to check. I gotta find the ID of the old one, but I think there was like 24 or something. I don't think we're quite there yet. And this one is more expensive than those as well. But I think, I mean, there's like 7 days left, so I think we could see more Golden 16s printed than the 8x8s.
So I guess we've had 3 weeks almost. We're 36 hours shy of 3 weeks of the competition. I think we can all agree it seems like it is a success. Do you guys think it's a success? And then what do you think going forward should be the plan? Do you see these competitions happening on a regular basis, or maybe a little more spread out? Like, what do you think is the vision here? I guess this should be a question for Mark, but like you as implementing this Pixelcraft, how do you feel, and where do you see this going forward?
Yeah, so this is the first time. Obviously the ROI for the DAO has been, in Alchemica terms, has been pretty amazing, right? So if we calculate 400K worth of Alchemica times, I think the DAO gets 30%. That's 120K in Alchemica that it's received for 80K worth of Ghost, not even including like all the burning and stuff. So and we have one whole round left. So I think it's been a success in that term. I guess the question is, would we have the same effect if we did this again? Would we also get this level of ROI? And I mean, possibly. I think is this something we should be doing? There's like the option of having just these multipliers every week. It could be something that is done every week. I think there will be a point where the ROI would kind of go down, and you'd be breaking even. So probably not something you'd want to do all the time. But yeah, when we have new stuff coming out, it definitely could be pretty interesting. But I think going forward, like it's an interesting model to think about how we can apply it to other areas of the economy. Like rarity farming is our biggest payout with 1.5 million ghosts, and yet I don't think the DAO in terms of ROI doesn't like get as big of a boost from that. So it'd be interesting to think, how can we apply this model to other areas?
Well, even speaking to rarity farming, we were talking about opting into rarity farming for those who are already engaged with their ecosystem. They should be the ones getting the rewards, and then saving the rest from the unopted amount and putting it back into the treasury. And maybe some of that could be used for these sorts of things, and have the rarity farming rewards dispersed across multiple different ways that you could earn.
I saw a nice tweet from Kagi Jan earlier today. He was saying like he has a lot of interesting tweets, but this one it caught my eye. I'll just read it here. I think I took a screenshot of it. A $500 tournament will have the same impact as a $10,000 or $50,000 tournament in Web3 games. It's better to do weekly $500 tournaments with consistency than a big prize pool tournament.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. I think he's kind of on point there, because we were talking about this last night on our Block Party podcast. Is the nature of esports in Web3 is going to look a little bit different than the nature of esports in traditional Web2 games that we're seeing, because of the nature of how our games work. They're very much community based, and everyone can you can have like what's that? No future, you can't hear me?
No, because I remember you saying your mic is directional. You might be talking in not the direction of the mic. So now you're better.
Yeah, I turn my head sometimes when I talk, so that's all it takes sometimes, I guess.
You gotta learn to just like stay stuck right in front of the mic. It's annoying, but
yeah. No, I was just saying, with esports, I think they're gonna look different in Web3, just because we have like pod-like communities that have formed, within like Aavegotchi, for example. I could see each guild having their own esports tournaments, maybe inviting other guilds, and then having something like that with a smaller prize pool. Where right now, if you look at Web2 games like League of Legends, they're playing for like sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, $50,000-$60,000 prize pools for like a tournament with like an arena full of people watching. Like, it's really a big spectacle. I don't know if Web3 is going to have that, and not soon anyway. Maybe someday we'll have something like that. But I think we have the technology to create these sorts of tournaments, this sort of vibe, but on a smaller scale.
When we think of like our biggest expenditure as a DAO, which is currently rarity farming, we call them seasons, but are they really seasons? It's really just a cumulative experience. It's not like the leaderboard really resets to zero every season. Everyone's starting with the stuff that they already own, and that's kind of how rarity farming was designed, but doesn't really encourage a bunch of ecosystem spending, which is the goal of rarity farming. Because otherwise, without that spending, it becomes unsustainable. The goal of rarity farming is to get people to spend more than the prize pool, in trading. So I think before we do the next season of rarity farming, like after season 5, with season 6, we really should try and evaluate as a DAO some better models for doing kind of rewards for gotchi holders. Otherwise, we're just going to keep spending our treasury, and eventually the DAO is going to run out of ghost.
See, I see Zico said something, and I totally agree. It'd be nice to be able to give away other NFTs as the prize, like maybe some like decos or something special like that, as opposed to just being ghost. Something that's limited. Because if we were doing regular, like doing a weekly tournament would be so much fun, even if it was a smaller prize pool, because it would just keep people constantly engaged. It's almost like having a weekly poker night, and just everybody's there, and they're just, it's a community event. So I think that would be very powerful.
Well, I guess I'll ask. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say. I guess I'll quickly follow up with that and ask maybe, with the Forge coming out, we're gonna have these different schematics and components available. With the top leaderboard spots, do you think they would compete for something like a godlike schematic instead of like 5,000 ghost or 10,000 ghost as a prize? Maybe they get a godlike schematic or some sort of a really rare component to craft a wearable instead.
I like it. I just worry that it somehow will cause inflation, or like I don't know how that could be. Like it feels like there might be a downside where like if it's like I was thinking, even with these NFTs that we give away as prizes, maybe they're community designed and they're forged, like they come from the forge, so there is some kind of value, but without diluting or inflating, like alloy or essence in any way. I don't know how we do that, but just brainstorming.
Yeah, I mean, I was referring to the schematic because if you had a schematic, you technically would not be inflating the supply. You'd just be you get another option essentially to craft a godlike. But it seems like the godlikes, they would be quite intense with like how much material you need to craft them.
Yeah, see what
Doesn't need
Axion
to be
says.
godlikes. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to kind of tournaments in the arena, and those could be last man standing kind of things.
I like that, because that doesn't mean I necessarily have to kill other people. I just have to be good at running.
Yeah, exactly.
King of the Hill could be interesting, where like there's like this box, and then the longer time you spend in the box, the more power you have. The harder you are to kill.
Well, Chronos has they've launched their open beta. What they're doing is they have like a battle royale version, but what happens is it's kind of like Fortnite in a sense, where it's like a circle that's enclosing, and if you get stuck outside of the in the blue, you get damaged. So like at first I was trying to kill other people, but I found I won more matches by just running from everybody and staying away from damage and just being like the last person. When there's only 2 of us, then kill that person. I have a much better chance. So if we can implement something like that in the arena, like a hot zone where you're basically can't be at the edges and you're slowly being pushed towards each other in a battle.
Yeah, Something like that would be really interesting. I know you guys mentioned a whole bunch of different game types that we could play around with once the arena is established. So that'd be good to have like the King of the Hill or capture the flag, 1-on-1s, 3-on-3s, that sort of thing. And then I also remember you mentioned something about being able to hold our own arena battles at some point. Maybe this is not maybe V1, maybe it might have been V2 or V3 of the arena. But do you have anything on like what that could look like when people are holding their own arenas? Would it be like on your land, or would it be just like another instance that gets spun up? Just reading the chat here. Oh, what? I didn't know that. Somebody's saying flame. You're saying in RuneScape you could dye your Santa hat black. I did not know that. That's a little hack there, sir. Oh man, there's still firecrackers going off. I mean, you guys were celebrating Year of the Rabbit last week, right? Or Year of the Gotchi.
It goes forever. The last day is Sunday. So.
Oh my God, that is a celebration and a half right there.
Yeah, it concludes on Sunday with kind of it's like the last day and it's the big send off, and it's typically like the Lantern Festival. So it's going to be, depending where you live, like here in Singapore, there's like areas of town you can go where there's just beautiful lanterns and paper handmade lanterns all over the district, and it's really, really nice. Some places will do like a parade, and back in the city I used to live in China, they would do like massive, almost like a Thanksgiving Day parade kind of scale of, but everything's like a paper, I don't know how to say, like a rice paper kind of thing with probably lights, not candles inside of them, but that soft glow. And all the companies and like major players in that city would sponsor it. So you'd have like major corporate sponsors with these really elegant kind of, very Asian aesthetic, like ancient kind of aesthetic lanterns going. So not just like the lantern you hold, but like giant floats, basically. So yeah, a couple days to go. It's really fun.
They sound like they know how to celebrate over there. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And apparently fireworks where Dan is. So.
All the poor doggos who are getting freaked out right now.
Yeah, right. Always feel bad for them. I am sorry guys, I'm just curious. I've got all these fake gotchis and I just installed my first 16x16, and I'm sitting here debating which fake gotchi to put into my supersized golden altar or golden display here.
I feel like the Pepinardo would feel right at home in that display.
You know what? That's probably what it's going to be. I'm staring at that right now. I'm like, yeah.
We're talking about the portal, right? Pepinardo? Isn't that a horizontal, not horizontal, a vertical display, like not a square?
Nope,
I think it's a square.
It's actually square. Yeah. I know that for a fact because when we were first doing the physical verified fakes, these physical prints you can order with the Soul Made card, when we were researching that, I got a sample sent to me, and that was back before Pepinardo actually adjusted he cropped it and redid it, whatever, to make it a square for the actual fake gotchi. But like the first rendition of it, it was not square. So I have a like unofficial sample rectangle kind of portrait version of that piece, and I think I'm the only one that ever will. So I got that going for me.
That's the one that you have in your background, right? Whenever you're
that one is totally not a square, but I think since then, like it's actually minted as a square.
So you need a square. So Pepinardo, yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a Gotchi classic right there. And actually, it's a rare Pepinardo piece because I was looking at all of his other works, and I think that piece is his only square piece of artwork. Everything else is rectangle.
Huh. Well, that's interesting.
It is, yeah. He usually goes for that card aspect ratio that we see with the fig bears. And so this is I like how he's kind of gone with the different style here for Aavegotchi, because I think we fit into the more square aesthetic for sure. Like I know we have some of the more we have the portrait aspect ratio, we have the card, right? But I think just with this day and age with Instagram and everything, it seems like the square seems to be more popular. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah. I thought you were referring to like Aavegotchis are made of pixels, little squares.
So yeah. Yeah, exactly. That could be another angle there too.
I don't know. I'm torn though. I mean, shout outs to like Soju. Soju's been doing amazing, like really cool kind of quote unquote tokenomics behind his recent releases. I'm a big fan of. I think right now he's got the auctions going on, right? And if the auction goes under floor, then he'll burn one of the supply, something like that. So it kind of like protects the early auctioners who might go a little hard at the beginning before price discovery is really set. I think that's a good model going forward. I really like that.
I think he called that the Race to Valhalla model, right? Is that the one?
I think that's another one, which
okay, that's different.
And I don't I haven't read into that one as much. That one sounds a little bit more wild, a little bit more fun. So I don't know the name for the one I'm talking about, but it's pretty straightforward. He says 5 Pepagotchis have already been burned. And okay, so he's doing the model I'm describing for the Pepagotchi piece. And the Race to Valhalla Thrax is saying is the opposite. So not quite sure how that one works. Maybe we can find out here in a minute.
Yeah, I'm interested. If you want to just come up and even tell us about these models you're experimenting with, feel free to put your hand up there.
Also, Thrax, feel free to come up because I know it got lost in the sauce here because we were talking about DAO stuff, but you just dropped an epic piece up in the thread. So if you want to drop that again or come up on stage and talk about it, please raise your hand.
Yeah, there it is. I just dropped it in the chat again. Looks like 11, 1 reserved, so 10 will be available, it looks like.
And Zbot, as I understand, I haven't checked in on fakegotchis.com lately, but today, but I think Zbot put out everything's being auctioned for you get the physical plus the high-res 3D file or something with the really super fine detailed Aavegotchi 3D Aavegotchi piece he's put together. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there's a lot of auctions going up right now. He says all auctions, but only 10 Phygital. VRF raffle.
Oh.
I can't keep up. Okay. Cool.
The lava model.
There's just so much going on with fake gotchis. There could be like fake gotchis could totally stand on its own as its own thing.
Oh yeah,
it does. But I mean, like you could have spaces every day just trying to keep up with everything happening with it.
Oh, we got Soju up on stage here. GM, sir.
Creative director of Block Party.
That's right, creative director.
GM, everybody. How are you?
Doing well, friend. How are you?
Doing well. Yeah, I guess with the burn model stuff I'm doing, I don't know. I'm trying to make a system that sort of relinquishes control like from me and just kind of like make something that's like organically balanced by, the markets and psychology and demand and all that. Yeah, I don't know, because I don't like, saying there's going to be this many at this much. I kind of like it to sort of evolve, Yeah.
How did you come up with these models? Did you look at did some research and saw other potential models like these that work, or is this like, keen like insight from a background that we don't know about? Like, do you have some psychology background, minor in college or something that you're not telling us about that seeped its way in a useful way?
I wish I could say that, but no, they just kind of came from my brain after like, I've probably done like 4 or 5 fake gotchis now, so like I've kind of seen sort of what markets do when you just kind of like do things the standard way, and I was like, all right, like I wonder like what some methods would be that would make like the market react differently, and yeah, these 2 methods came out of my brain. I have a third one. It's called Mine the Cap. I'll post that later today. It's a little interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's innovative, friend. Like, if you think about it, last year, I don't know if anybody has a link to it, but there was like a research paper done on GBM auctions, like in Aavegotchi. So you are kind of innovating on that, and maybe you might end up in an academic research paper on the Valhalla method to GBMs,
That'd be pretty funny. I would love to read that paper if anybody has the old link to it or whatnot. Feel free to DM me with it.
So do you have any pieces that you plan on releasing? Any alpha you could drop as an artist?
Oh man. Okay. So I have a little bit of alpha. I don't want to give too much because I'm trying to save this until it's completely done. I have something a little unique that I'm working on, and I guess the only alpha I'll put out is that there's going to be 100 original one of ones. And it's going to take a while for me to finish them, but they're going to be these cool things you can collect. And I'm going to be using a really interesting distribution method. I spoke with the dev team and even got them to accept Ghost. So it's going to be a whole thing I'm sort of planning out here. But yeah, no more alpha. That's it.
Oh, look at that. That's awesome.
Could you help us? What's the road to Valhalla in a nutshell? How's that version work?
Oh, so the Road to Valhalla is a system that rewards a bidder for outbidding a previous, or I'm sorry, rewards a bidder for bidding higher than a previous sale amount. And it works on a multiplier scale. So say somebody were to pay 10% more on GBM for a piece than it previously sold for, then maybe 1 edition would burn. Say they bid 25% more, then maybe 3 editions would burn. Say they bid 50% more, then 5 editions burn, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, a system where you're rewarded to outburn the last bidder, and that bid functions on a multiplier scale.
Oh wow, that's actually really interesting because it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like the higher you're bidding on the pieces, the more exclusive your piece gets if you win that piece. Because you're burning the whatever ratio of what you bid, right?
Yeah, and I like these models to sort of have a gamified element. So like, say you're like a whale bidder or just somebody who likes to kind of degen, you could come in and sort of shape the market based on your high bids. So, you could come in here and be like, you know what, I'm gonna burn 10% of the supply and bid, 100% more than the last bid. And it gives like it gives the heavy bidders just more control over the final distribution and the market process, I think. Hopefully, at least. In theory, I haven't tested out these models yet, but these are just all experimental at the moment.
I don't think I've seen anything like that before, so it's going to be really interesting.
Hopefully.
I was on the fence about that, but
What's that, Thrax? I heard you saying.
saying I was on the fence about how that distribution model would work, because my initial idea was a similar concept, but no percentages. It would just be like if the next sale price was higher than the previous one, I would burn one of the supply. It was a little bit less complicated than I thought. therefore would be better, but I like this model.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like they can't get too complex or else you're giving people homework to do and nobody likes that like at all. So it's tricky.
And then you gotta balance it like with your end, right? Because you don't want to have to sit there and look at 1,000 different transactions to figure out who won what or who burned what. I kind of like shot myself in the foot with the BSL stuff because I have to like go and track who bought which piece when they had it and did they have these pieces in their wallet at that time. So it's a little tricky.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be hard because then you're kind of like, it's like you need a tool like Snapshot or something at that point.
Ooh, that's not a bad idea, actually. Maybe we should incorporate some.
A snapshot for fake gotchis. So you're voting with some kind of you're voting with some sort of mechanism there on what should be burned, what should be kept.
Well, not just that. Like you don't necessarily need to have votes, but you can see who's holding what at what time, at least, right?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
As long as they let you do it by edition count, because I think fake gotchis as an entire collection, it'll just show everybody as having it. As long as they let Snapshot sort of distinguish between like gotchi mint this to that, then I feel like it would work, right?
I started to set up like a little, because my ENS was in my hacked wallet, so I had to go get that, and then I stopped. But I do want to try something like that for sure. But if you're saying that fake gotchis are, I mean, they are. I remember that. It's all one collection on OpenSea, so it might be a little tricky.
You mentioned your Black Swan liquidators. How did that shake out with the Mecha Gotchi? Because you also had an interesting mechanic there that you're doing, and now I think we're maybe 2 months past the initial release. So how did that all shake out? How many Mecha Gotchis are the Black Swan liquidators winning?
Well, the mechas are fully released now. So there's 4 in the wild and 1 in my wallet. The one in my wallet's just like staying there because I like it. Last night I released like, I don't know, 15 BSLs and a bunch of them got destroyed. Like the Mecha Gotchi force were there, man. They were waiting. And I think we've burned probably like maybe 8 at this point. I have to go through and check. I haven't burned them yet, but a bunch went. Cool to watch.
And so the idea there is if you burn 5 Black Swan liquidators, you kill 1 Mecha Gotchi. Is that right?
No. You don't have to burn anything. That was the fun of it. So they're basically like teams against each other, right? So a Mecha Gotchi will easily destroy a single Black Swan liquidator. But Black Swan's going to have to gang up on Mecha Gotchi. So if you have 5 Black Swans in your wallet and you buy a Mecha, I will burn one of the supply.
Okay, there it is. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I was really worried about the Mechas, man, because like some people were out to get a bunch of BSLs last night, and I thought they were going to go for the Mecha as well. But thankfully they didn't. So I get to keep them.
Or else you'd have to let that one go, right?
Yeah, I'll have to burn it. We'll find one on secondary one day.
Yeah, very interesting release mechanics there with that. So I think we're coming to the end of our little hangout here on Saturday. Do we have anything else we want to get out there to wrap up?
I have a small thing question, and I just want to say thank you to you, Hefe, and the Gotchi Vault and everyone that voted on the Infinity Keys proposal. We went over quorum and with like over 95% support, and I'm absolutely thrilled. Is the correct next step to submit a core prop and discuss at the DAO meeting tomorrow? Is that our path forward?
So yeah, so quickly, path forward is going to be. I don't think, unless there's something specific, there wouldn't really be need to rediscuss. But if there are, specific points the community might have on iterating on the proposal, I haven't heard anything new. Like, the proposal looked good to me. But if there is anything that we need to do in regards to adjustments, we could do that. And then if you can take your edited or the same version of your proposal and get it over to Coder Dan, they do a weekly posting. And then actually that's something we can actually talk about maybe either this DAO meeting or the next one, is a process to post the core prop after the SIG prop is passed. Maybe this is something, once we have some leadership established, maybe this is something that DAO can handle, or, in collaboration with Pixelcraft, handle posting the core props. But yeah, for now, if you can just get the edited version or, the final version over to Pixelcraft, they'll post the core prop there.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you, folks. Everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that, tomorrow at the DAO meeting, we do have quite a bit to discuss there. Some of the things off the top of my head, we could follow up on our bonding curve discussion. There's some threads in the forum discussion in the forums right now. There's monthly dev updates. Some people asking status of the Great Battle. And then we have the 2023 Kinship Burn Initiative by Yannick, as well as touching on some of the Aavegotchi text-based RPG led by Bowtied Nerd that I was talking about. And of course, we're always kind of iterating on the mission and vision. I'm hoping we can get to some sort of an agreement on that. But we put together a Miro board for that that we can look at tomorrow as well. So that's kind of our agenda for tomorrow's DAO meeting. And for anybody that has not been to one of these DAO meetings, we try to make it easy for anybody to join. It's right here in the Discord at 2 p.m. UTC. So feel free to join us there, and it'll be a good time. No Future, Zombie, you guys got anything else? Coder Dan, Golden Cross.
No, if you guys have any good
All right.
ideas for potential trivia for the ETH Denver Cafe, or if you know any sites that you could send me to create a word search, I'll take it on my own and try to make a little gotchi word search and play around with that. Otherwise, everybody have a great weekend. We'll be around tomorrow for the DAO meeting, and just friends, remember to stay friendly.
Absolutely.
Totally agree. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Later, friends.
Yeah.
Take it easy, friends.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, everybody. Peace.